Hello everybody, my name is Aceface and welcome back to the T0 to T6 Abyss series. We're here facing some Rodivas, searching for the rare items of the Abyss. We are pretty much near perfection. Now, we've been near perfection for a long time, but it's just the last skill is being trained here to make our Zealot perfect in terms of its DPS. It can be slightly better when it comes to the drones, but the main DPS, like, I wouldn't really count the drones as a point of DPS for the Zealot, because it's just a pulse laser bot and the drone's just a little bit of an extra offensive capability on the side. But pulse laser specialization is almost level 5, and when you've got your specialization skill to level 5 of a certain type, it means you are really specialized. Like, you get rockets to specialization to level 5, light missile specialization to level 5, certain type of weapon system, if you get it specialized to level 5, that means you're really dedicated to that, and that's exactly what we're dedicated to here. We're dedicated to this Zealot, bringing it up to be able to run T6 eventually one day. Let's get through these. They're a little bit too far away actually to get full damage from these Scorch. Let's go for them there. Good, okay. I hope we get some mutaplasms for large cap batteries. We're at 350 million of in our total, you could say, loot stash. There's a long way to go, but we'll get there one day. And these cap battery mutaplasmids are what I think will be the primary way we will be able to get to an extremely large accumulation of ISK, because that is needed to get that T5 fit. I'm just surprised though how well our T4 fit is, because it's not particularly expensive, but we're still able to do the T4 so well. So it's going to be a very big investment when you're going to go to T5, and it's even going to be a very big investment to go to T4 Firestorm. But for the T4 Electric, it's a very cheap fit, and it's sort of, you get what you pay for, because we're doing these T4s, we're doing them really well, but you have that high fulfillment cost, so it just chops off a large portion of your profit straight off the bat. Okay, let's get the Webifier and the Snarecast and have the drones take him out, because these Rodivas seem to be wanting to kite a lot more than they usually do. I'm used to Rodivas getting up close and personal most of the time. I think it's maybe that we are very quick, because they seem to be getting closer now. Like, I'm used to seeing Rodivas behave. Conflagration. Pulse laser specialization L5. Ooh, that feels really like we're going to hit hard with this Zealot. What's the DPS we've got? 719. It'll increase the turrets by 2%, so that'll be 13 or 12 extra DPS. Not a crazy big increase in DPS, but it's something. It's pretty much the max amount you can get for what we've got. Only other improvements would be boosters and implants. We'll save that for T5 and T6. Okay, let's go for Strike Needle Tesla. I learned a lot of things during this journey from T0 to T6 Abyss. It has a lot to do with the filament cost, because I was thinking, okay, if we want to get to T6 as quick as possible, which is the goal here, going for electrical sites will be a very good option. But the thing is, if you're out just for pure profit, it could be an option to be, or hold out in the lower tiers and you do filaments that are a lot cheaper, because you would be able to get by with a bit of a cheaper ship, but also not have as much upfront cost with the filaments. So if I do a future series with different types of ships, then it'll probably be a little bit different if I'm out there just for pure profit. But for doing or getting to T6 as quick as possible, I think that the going for electricals is very good, because they're very easy compared to other filaments. You get that really good cap bonus. Okay, we've got some harrowing Velas, easy Triglavian waves. Let's go for the tangling Tamavecus. Getting closer here. I really want to get those rare loot drops. It was a shame that there's nothing in EVE Online that involves that can increase the RNG or improve the RNG on these kind of loot drops. I play another game on the side called New World, and there's like gear you can have on your character that makes it that when you open chests and gain loot from like different dungeons, there's a property in the gear you've got that's called luck. It increases the chance of getting high quality items. There's nothing like that in EVE Online. The RNG is the same, regardless of the ship you're using. It would be interesting if there's maybe some like luck module or loot extraction module that improves the likelihood of getting good loot. But at the same time, it's going to then nerf your ship, because you're dedicating a whole slot on your ship to increased loot. So it's going to make you obviously a lot weaker. It'll make the abyss size a bit more difficult. So I don't know. It'll be a big balancing challenge, I can imagine, because there's probably a lot of activities which will make it really overpowered as well. It's not so easy as just saying, oh, okay, you can just have increased loot in certain activity. Because in the Abyss, for example, I can see like a increased loot extraction module perhaps would make it so that, you know, it's going to be a lot tougher. You're going to sacrifice a whole slot on your ship. But maybe some activities where it's not as difficult, it's going to make it very overpowered and everyone's just going to use it without any question whatsoever. Okay, let's go for this Vila. They always like to keep it the border of our web range. It's very annoying because you improve the tracking so much by using the Webifier on them. If there was a 15 or 16 kilometer web, that would have been perfect. Unfortunately, the only ones that exist are really expensive webs. I don't think there's any reasonably priced web that is further range. I think there is one, but it's the Domination web, and that's very expensive, and it's also got a worse speed reduction. Domination, Stasis, Webifier. Yeah, because this has 15 kilometers, but it has minus 50% velocity. We have, I think, minus 60 here. And then it could be that there's also some officer ones. But that one, the 15 kilometer one, is a lot more expensive than this Federation Navy one we've got. This would cost like 60 million. I think that costs over 100 million. For that extra kilometer and slower web bonus, I think it's not worth it in my opinion. Probably should have gone for these extraction nodes. Were there any extraction nodes we could have gone to? No. A little bit too far away, I think, for going to an extraction module. Oh, maybe we can check in the last wave, because the last wave we know we'll have a lot of time to spare. It's tempting though, because you can see it over there. This one too. And then the thing is that they're pretty far away, and then if there's nothing in them, so you waste all that time going to them for nothing, where you could have may as well you just run more sites in that time. Okay, take out this Vila Vedmak. We'll skip those extraction nodes and go to the next room and try to do full clear in the next room. Okay, curb this Tyrannos. Oh, there's a ton of extraction nodes. Perfect. We've got Spearfishers, Entanglers. That's what we're going to go for first. Entangler, because he's going to web us. And maybe the Confuser as well, because it's going to make us supply worse to everything else. Deploy drones. Entangler. Go for him. Where's our range? 30, 36. Go for the Spearfisher using Conflag. I think that'll be a good choice of ammunition. Now they just don't seem to. As soon as I switch to Conflag, they pull range. And they're smart, these F-Yachts. Even though they might seem like dumb NPCs, they actually do have quite a bit of intelligence. It's probably just complete coincidence, but it happens so many times that it feels like it's not a coincidence that they just pull range the second you switch to long range or short range ammunition, and vice versa. They like to come close when you've got long range. I think it could be that they're aggroing my drones, so then that's why they're altering their flight paths. Great, one look there and another look there. Deploy the other group of drones because that one was a bit damaged. And only 500,000 unfortunately. Maybe there could be something good here. Let's go with Conflagration. We've got curb this over there. Curb this is not a nice way to go to the extraction nodes like we're doing now, but the only reason I'm doing this is because we've got so much time to spare. Otherwise curb this is going to pull full range to the border of the abyssal boundary border at the back. It's going to be so far away because curb this is AI by default, is just a pull range. Let's open this up. Oh, that was a decent one, 2.5. Okay. Let's go for this extraction node. We're going to go a little bit of a cruise. We're going to go on a little bit of a cruise in the abyss here. You can see how cool the scenery looks. This abyssal mountain and everything. You know, this arena here, in the abyss you've got different rooms with different compositions of asteroids. And even though they're a little bit random, they're still pretty standard. They've got a base model of how the room looks like, and then they alter a few things here and there, but they do look very similar. There's a base model of what they look like. And you can think of it like this. This one here, I recognize this. You can see this room. And this room was where I lost my first Gila that was expensive in. It was the first T4 Gila I lost. It was worth, I think, 2 billion. It's really expensive because I was not really sure what you could use in the abyss without dying. So I just went all out on the bling there. I think I had an A-type Multispectrum shield hardener in a T4. So pretty pricey investment for T4. But I was then around here, I think. I went to one of these extraction nodes, and then I was approaching this bi-adaptive cache after getting one of those extraction nodes, because I had an MWD on my Gila, so I was going manually with the MWD. And then when I was approached, there was some Lucid Watchmen as well. There was Lucid Watchmen that way, because I remember this very clearly, because it was a big event for me. And then when I was approaching this bi-adaptive cache, then guess what happened? Someone turned off the router. And that is when my ship was destroyed. And it had a lot to do with also that we were piloting a bit wrong, because you can see here, the way I'm piloting, I'm just approaching the wreck. Like, I'm just doing the approach command. But what I did there was I actually double-clicked in space. You can see if I double-click here, it's a bit different from approaching, because now we get a vector that just goes on forever. So I'll actually, if I don't stop my ship, I will go past this extraction node and continue to the abyssal boundary. That's what's the good thing about pressing the approach command, is that you just continue until you approach the object and then it stops. And that's my guess of what happened there, because there was only a few NPCs left, just a few Lucid frigates. So they were definitely not able to kill my Gila. So what happened was that, or I'm guessing what happened was that I just approached the bi-adaptive cache, I went past it, and I just went and flew into the oblivion. And that's how I died. It was an unfortunate event, but I learned new things there. I've never died to flying out of the abyssal boundary due to a disconnect ever since. The only time I've died is that I've either been destroyed just due to overwhelming force, or that I've just made mistakes. It's not that I've flown out of the abyssal boundary again. Always my tank is held, because I usually come with a pretty... Well, I have a good idea of what is a pretty good tank for the different abyss tiers. Okay, let's go for Mr. Charybdis. Maybe can we land one volley in this bi-adaptive? Is it possible? Yeah, great. Look at that long range of the Zealot. It's also a bit longer than before, because we have no guidance and tracking disruptors on us. Always a command range, yeah, 45 kilometer range, okay. Are we able to... What is the drone? We could perhaps actually train some drone skills just to improve our DPS here. Drone avionics, drone sharpshooting. Can we do all skills? Advanced drone avionics. I can add this maybe. What does this do? Control range. You can just max this out. Drone durability can also be good. Interfacing. Let's just max all these. And we can order them a bit by the amount of days they take, because I like to just train as many skills in a certain amount of time as possible. So, but I usually like to put the shortest ones first and the longer ones later, because usually the shorter ones will give a bigger impact in proportion to how long they take to train. Because that's usually how it works in Evenline. The higher levels take a longer time to train and give very little, or they give us small bonuses in proportion to their time, but the shorter skills, they usually give just as much bonus as the... Oh, we're taking a lot of damage. As the ones that take a long time, but they're the lower levels, so that you've not got a total amount of bonus from the skills. So you're just usually using your time a bit more efficient by training the lower tier skills or the shorter skills first, and then the longer ones later when you want to really specialize into a certain activity. But here we'll be able to sort of max out our drones here. We'll get all these to max. Drone durability, interfacing, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, drone sharpshooting is good for optimal range, navigation, durability. And this would also be great if we want to use, for example, a Gila later. We could also have good drone skills for that. Only thing we would need to train is we would need to train missile skills. Oh, that's a big thing, missile skills. And then also the spaceship command skills for Caldari and Gallente cruisers. So there's actually a great deal of training left if I ever wanted to re-specialize this part into a Gila. But at least one of the big portions will be completed, which is the drone skills. But you can see what I mean, where I was saying that when you've got a Charybdis wave, it's not a good wave to just cruise out to these extraction nodes by yourself, because they're just going to pull so much range and you're going to have to spend forever to get to them. Like, it's only now we're getting to Charybdis, and look, we've got 4 minutes left on the clock, and we did those first 2 waves extremely fast. We did them in like 7 minutes, and we've spent so much time in this one Charybdis wave. But I mean, it's smart when you know that you've got enough time. It's smart to take advantage of the extraction nodes, because they do give extra ISK, and when you're taking full advantage of the filament, you'll net out with a bigger profit because of the very high filament cost that you've got when you're doing electrical sites at all. When you're doing electrical sites to start with. But Charybdis is soon down. As soon as the shields go down in Charybdis, and the Charybdis doesn't have much HP left. Very thin armor. I think, however, drifter battleships. Now, Corpus is not a typical drifter battleship because drifter battleships have like a big overshield and lots of different like doomsday weapons and special tech. But traditional drifter battleships, I believe they have very big armor as well as shields. I don't think they have just big shields. Or it could be that they've got good shields and then a big overshield as well. Because an overshield is like a shield above their shield. 2 shields almost. And they're really tanky and do a ton of damage with their doomsday weapons. They're nothing to mess with the typical drifter battleships. So when you see them here in the Abyss, okay, they're a lot weaker than they usually are. Well, when I did my first Tier 1 Abyss a long time ago, 3 years ago, I think it was, almost 4 actually. Yeah, probably more close to 4. 4.5 in fact. Then one of the first waves I encountered was Corpus Tyrannus, and it was like, oh, this is so easy compared to the typical drifter battleships. So used to just one-shotting Marauders, the top tier battleships. Let's get this bi-adaptive cache, see what we've got. So far, sitting on 15. Not a whole lot. The 40 million plus rounds were a thing of the past. I used to do them all the time when I did T4s initially. That was also because I went for a lot more extraction nodes, but I remember 40 million and above being like, oh, that's good. Now it's an extremely rare encounter that I get 40 million or plus. Even 30 million plus is a rare encounter. Usually it's around 20 million. Okay, let's open this up. Nothing special, just a bit of survey data, but it was a decent amount of survey data though, so we landed on 20 million. So, some T4 bits, looking for the rare loot drops, unfortunately completely nothing. So now that we've set out to find the rare loot drops, we're just finding the completely average loot, no filaments at all. But it is a good amount of average loot though, so I'm happy about that at least. It's still a decent amount. But, I mean, think of all the filaments, mutaplasmas we can get. We didn't get a single one. And blueprints as well. Blueprints, what has happened to all the blueprints? We're not getting any blueprints actually. So there's definitely a lot more we can get. So that's enough for now. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.